The question is about spontaneous actions. Okay. What is spontaneous action? The child's actions are spontaneous. So Jnani's actions are spontaneous. Between the child and a Jnani, in between all actions are deliberate. A spontaneous action, there's no doer. There's no ego involved. There's a response to a given situation, moment to moment. A Jnani's actions are response to a given situation, moment to moment. Whereas a ignorant person or Adnani reacts to a situation moment to moment. So we have to understand the difference between action and reaction. The word reaction means repeated action. It's a programmed action. Right? Action is this moment. Reaction is reaction. You are doing what you did earlier, you are repeating. Whereas action is spontaneous, is fresh, and based on the current moment, not based on the past. So that's where it is very difficult to predict Jnani's actions. You cannot say, you cannot model and say Jnani will behave like this only. Because they're not reactions. They're actions. Reaction means repeated action. Whatever you did 10,000 times, you'll repeat now. You are very predictable. Action means you are breaking up from the past. You are not looking into the future. This moment, you'll respond to a given situation. That's what Jnani's actions are. Jnani is unpredictable in that sense. Because predictability requires past actions. Based on the past actions, Jnani will do exactly like this. It's not like that. So those actions are spontaneous. The actions are child's actions. Child has no sense of ego. I'm speaking of very young child. As the child grows up, there's a sense of ego. What does child do? Child will move his hand, sip his thumb, move his leg. Okay. So the actions are done not for any purpose, a purposeless action. There's no purpose in the action of the child. All actions are purposeless. And child is not trying to get happiness also. By moving his hand, child is happy. The being is, child is expressing his being, which is happiness, through its motion, action. So actions have no purpose. There's no deliberation, I have to do this or that. There's no intention. Being alive is expression reaction. That's the child's action. Whereas as we grow up, the ego develops. When the ego develops, actions are deliberate. Any action is evaluated. Whether this gives me happiness, in this action there's a profit. In this action, is there suffering? So there is a deliberation. Deliberation of the result for the action. You will act based on the result, not based on need of the moment, need of the hour. So always, as ego develops, the person is not aware of himself. He's called Adnani. So Adnani's actions are always designed for or deliberately done to get happiness or avoid suffering. Happiness or suffering is the result of action. The result is always in future. And how do you predict the future? Based on the past results. So past, I did this, this happens. This I did, this happens. So based on the past, the future is predicted. And based on the future prediction, you will take the action now. So your current action is driven by past and future. They are well deliberated upon. And they have to conform to ideas. So my ideas of happiness, my ideas of suffering. And also it's about society idea, how the society will take it. So your ideas, actions are conditioned by your own past impressions, your own future projections, and societal response. So Adnani's actions are two types. One is called instinctive. Instinctive actions are, let us say somebody is going on a road. Suddenly a fast moving vehicle comes. He will jump. There's no deliberate action. There's no jumping is not deliberate action. Even intellect doesn't come into picture. It is for survival. It's a program by the body-mind complex. Action has to happen immediately. The car comes, you don't have time to think also. Right? At that moment, the mind stops, thinking stops. The instinctive action happens. That's for survival. Second type of action by Adnani, ignorant person, is intellectual. Somebody is called very intellectual. Who is intellectual? Oh, that guy is a great intelligent person. When we say, what is intelligence which you're speaking of? Because he knows a lot and he's able to process the data and give you input. So when we speak of intellectual, it simply means, this thing is not highlighted. Intellectual means somebody is large amount of data. The data you're able to process. That means into his memory, a lot of data is stored. That data he is able to process appropriately. The intellect can be trained. Instinct cannot be trained. Instinct by nature. A trained intellect can process large amount of data and tell you accurately. For example, a doctor. Somebody before becoming a doctor, he'll study all the medicine, every subject on the earth. He'll study big books, remember so many names. Then when a patient comes, from his memory, he will take the data and say, for this disease, this is the thing. So intellect operates on the past memory, data. Intellect also operates on the future. So if I do this, what will happen in the future? Intellect is a data processing engine. Intellect can be trained. That's why we call person with bigger and bigger degrees as more intellectuals. So a ignorant person, Adnani, operates at instinct level or intellectual level. And the more intellectual some person is, very likely that he'll be more unhappy also. Why? Every time you take a decision, the intellect will project some 10,000 negative conditions. What happened if this doesn't happen? What happened if this doesn't happen? The intellect operates based on fear. Intellect operates based on the hope. Understand? So decision making is based on the fear and hope. Which is more powerful? Always fear is more powerful. What if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? So what happens? Intellectual person can get likely to get into a sort of a loop where he is not able to take a decision. It's called analysis paralysis. And more somebody intellectual is, more likely that he will worry more, because worry is about future. More likely that he is likely to get into depression also. A sharp intellect is a boon, but sharp intellect can be a problem. So what happens? See, you look at many of these very highly trained professionals. Okay, so-called intellectuals, right? So-called intellectuals, they are very good in their profession. Either a doctor or engineer, they're able to quickly take decision because on the given data, they'll be able to take decision. But when it comes to their life, they can't take decision. Their intellect is sharp, but it starts getting into analysis of what if it doesn't happen. It'll get in the professional matters, they're able to take decision quickly. But about their life, they'll be paralyzed. Because future or past, right? Both will hold them. So you have to look at yourself, your life. Wow, how is your decision based? Is it based on fear? Is it based on anxiety? Is it based on what doesn't happen? Huh?
Based on desire.
Based on desire. So then you are the intellectual driven action. It's called deliberate action. Instinctive, intellectual. Then comes what we call as intelligence. Intelligence does not operate on the based on the past data or future data. Intelligence is present moment, not about the past, not about the future. Is intelligence playing in your life? Intelligence is infinite intelligence. That's God. Intelligence is divine. Intelligence is infinite intelligence. The moment you say current data has to be processed, it's called intellect. The intelligence is the intellectual action, intellectual decisions are based on the past recording or future projection.
Intellect is kind of reflected, whereas intelligence is all present.
Intellect is reflected consciousness. Intelligence is all presence, the totality. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Intelligence is infinite. Intelligence is totality. The actions arising out of intelligence are holistic. They are spontaneous. They are not deliberated. Okay. So instinctive, intellectual, and intelligence. These three differences there. Then in between comes the intuition. Okay. Intuition is between intellect and intelligence. The word intuition means knowledge. Okay. So where do we get the knowledge? Tuition. So for the intellect, the knowledge has to come from sense organs. Tuition is not in, but tuition is out. Out tuition is intellect. You get knowledge from the outside. Okay. So intuition is the knowledge from within, not from outside, not from sense organs. The intuitive knowledge is always corrupted by intellectual knowledge. Intuitive knowledge of us is corrupted by intellectual knowledge. For example, when we use the word I am, I exist, I am aware. I means consciousness. Am means existence. It is not the knowledge from the sense organs. It's the intuitive knowledge. I exist, I am aware is self-evident to you. It's the intuitive knowledge. Intuition, from within you know. But immediately the intellect will corrupt it. I exist, I am because body. Because body is sense organs. Intellect doesn't understand a knowledge which is coming from sense organs in the mind. Sense organs, knowledge is doesn't come from sense organs. Intellect is a lower level faculty compared to intuition. Even then, even otherwise, even though intuition also appears in intellect only, the inner part of the intellect is intuition. So when you say I am is I exist, I am aware, is intuitive knowledge. I am the body is intellectual knowledge. Because all actions of my life is based on the body, past. So intuitive knowledge is corrupted by intellectual understanding, data which is based on the past or future. So always we are a mix of a decision is a mix of intuition and intellect. Where intellect dominates, intuition is suppressed. So this is the nature of decision making in Jnani, ignorant person. In case of Jnani, there is a deliberation has happened. The what you call discrimination, Atma, Anatma, Nitya, Anitya Vivekashan. So then what is intuitional knowledge is separate from the intellectual understanding. Intellectual understanding, I am the body. Intuition is I am. So when you intuition predominates, a pure intuition, which is not corrupted by the intellect, where in intuitively you recognize who is real I. I am refers to I is consciousness, am is existence, and I am is pointing to real I, which is awareness. So now intuition has become free from the clutches of the intellect. Intuition has become free from the clutches of corruption created by intellect. So this deliberation process, Atma, Anatma Viveka, Nitya, Nitya Viveka, Anitya Viveka, is called study of Vedanta, Shravana Manana. Finally, intuitively, you know, I am Brahman. Intuitively, a perception, it's a perception. Real I cannot be pursued. Real I is the innermost self. That is the intuition. That is the one where intuition comes, knowledge comes. Knowledge means awareness. So you recognize the real I. So now, once you recognize your I, a person lives as Jivan Mukta, Jnani. Such a person is called Sthita Pradna. His Pradna or wisdom is established in pure awareness, which is real I, not corrupted by I am the body. So then actions flowing out of such a person are not based on the intellect and the body. They are actions flowing out of the infinite intelligence, which is called Ishvara or God. So the intellect now, earlier intellect was tuned to the ego. Ego is always about the past and future. Now the intellect works under the guidance of the Sakshi or the Atma, freed from the past and future. Those actions are not deliberate, not out of fear, not out of anxiety, not out of past and future. They are not actions, they are not reactions, they are actions. They are the only actions possible. They are called spontaneous actions. So now, child's actions are spontaneous and Jnani's actions are spontaneous. Is there a difference between the child and Jnani? So child's actions are purposeless. So our Jnani's actions are purposeless. If Jnani's actions are also purposeless, then Jnanis are useless. Understand? So Jnani's actions are not purposeless. Jnani's actions are focused and purposeful. So Jnani's actions flow from discrimination of Atma, Anatma, discrimination of Dharma, Adharma. So Dharma, Adharma applies to the world. Atma, Anatma applies to self. So this discrimination has freed the intuition from the clutches of the intellect. The real holistic action can flow through the Jnani. So Jnani's actions are holistic and heals the world because Dharma, Adharma is discriminated. Atma, Anatma is discriminated. It's not influenced by your past or future. It's not influenced by the societal thinking. What is real Dharma? And that type of action happens to the body-mind complex. So these actions are not conforming to ideas. My ideas, what is right and what is wrong. It's not conforming to what is good for me, what is not good for me. The actions are holistic. They are divine actions. That the Ishvara, the universal consciousness, operates through the body-mind complex. There's no sense of doership. There's no sense of ownership. There's no sense of enjoyership. This pure action, in Sanskrit, is called Naishkarmya Siddhi. The universal actions happening through body-mind complex. Any questions? Gayatri? Yeah, what is the question?
There's a secret bit you spoke about Advaita section and it's
Middle, okay.
and then you said you have to surrender. So
No. So now the question comes, next question. I'm not a child. I'm not a Jnani. I'm in between. So how do I do action?
Anyways, for everybody.
No. Make it simple line question. How does the Jnani?
Not Jnani. Seeker who is like, you know,
How does the seeker take action? How should the seeker take? Okay, so the question is about not Jnani, not Adnani, not a child. So in between, Trishanku Sarga is there. Neither here nor there. Na Garka, na Gatka. So that is called seeker. How should he act? Right? So that so people do something called Ishvara's will, and they'll whatever they do, whatever right or wrong they do, say because of God's will. Is that the right way? Okay. See, for anybody in the path of Jnana, he is a seeker. He has not attained Jnani, he has not become Jnani, and he is neither ignorant. He is a seeker. So, what should guide him? Two things should guide him, his actions: Dharma and Guru. Okay. So, Dharma, when you act in life, the Viveka which is required, discrimination is required, Dharma, Adharma, Viveka. When you recognize yourself, Atma, Anatma, Viveka. So you should live your life with Dharma, Adharma, Viveka. What is Dharma? What is Adharma? To the best of your knowledge. To the best of knowledge, Dharma, Adharma, discrimination should be done. Then the guidance or surrender to the Guru is important, or God. That's why Sri Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Paritijya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshishami Mashuchi. So Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, follow your dharma. So dharma is very clear guideline for a given situation of life, for a given circumstance. How do I act? How do I act for the whole benefit of the whole? Right? So in any given situation, what benefits me but doesn't benefit the whole is called selfish. It's called I win, everybody loses. What benefits the world but doesn't benefit me is also not okay. What benefits the whole and what benefits me together, the holistic benefit is there, holistic welfare is there, such is called dharma, good for all. The last option, win-win for all, doesn't work all the time. Yeah, so we'll find out, right? Freedom fighters sacrifice their life for dharma. No, I'm saying you are looking at sacrifice of their life. When they sacrifice their life, they said this sacrifice of life will give me mukti or will give me swarga. So because this sacrifice itself will uplift me. That is the idea. It's not about physical death. So they died by sacrificing my life for the country. Okay. Either I'll get a mukti or I'll get swarga. So there is a personal benefit, individual benefit also is there, hidden in their thought process. It's not that they didn't cry that I'll die. They were joyfully accepting death because the death is for individual sacrifice. They'll get swarga or mukti. That thought process is there. If the death is suffering, then you will cry, shout. It's not that. Okay. So now win-win is win for myself, win for the whole is holistic. So this is what they call as dharma. So Krishna told Arjuna, follow your dharma. Okay. Now what is dharma? Arjuna was confused. Krishna said, Kshatriya dharma is your dharma. You have not come here to fight the war for personal gain. You have come here to fight the war against adharma. Establish dharma. So dharma, what is dharma? Is much more clear. Dharma, adharma, viveka has to be developed for action in the outer world. Nitya, anitya, viveka has to be developed in the inner world. So in any action, we have to see how the action can benefit whole. So that action is called action with discrimination. For a seeker, this action has to be deliberately developed. It won't happen overnight. For a Jnani, this action is spontaneous. There's not much of a deliberation there. Dharma, adharma, viveka, nitya, anitya, viveka is inbuilt, spontaneous for a Jnani. For a seeker, it has to be there. Then Sri Krishna said, Sarva dharman paritijya mamekam sharanam vraja. Surrender to me. Action surrender to God. Okay. When action surrender to God, there's no doership. There's no enjoyship. There's no knowership. All actions are done on the behalf of the divine, on the behalf of Guru, and seeing Guru in all, seeing God in all. Those are the actions which will free you. Dharmic actions and actions surrender to God or Guru. In between, the deliberate actions is what, oh, will this become successful? Will there be failure? Okay, what will happen? All fear, anxiety will come. That's individual. Any questions? So the moment you say, how do I know which my vasanas are driving the action or surrender? If my vasanas are driving the action, there is always a tinge of fear. There's a tinge of anxiety. The tinge of what will happen, focus on the result. Success and failure. Correct. Person without?
When people do actions with clarity also.
Correct.
It will not be surrender.
Correct.
There will no anxiety in you.
Right. So she says there are very smart people in the world, very intellectual people who are very clear in what they do. Okay, right? And such a between such people and a person who is surrendered and doing action, what is the difference? They also do clearly, but all their actions are for selfish purpose. When you do action with surrender and devotion, there's not even a selfishness in that. And the person who does with the clarity, a very intellectual person is able to do focus and do clarity. If the result doesn't come, he'll get depressed, he'll get anxious, he'll get stressed. Whereas a person who is surrendered and does action, he'll not be afraid, he'll not be worried when the obstacle come, when the results are not favorable. It's a gift of God, grace. The difference is so vast between these two. A person who is intellectual is always prone to anxiety, always prone to, based on the result. While doing action, he may be clear, but result will disturb him. As a karma yogi, a person who is surrendered, there's no disturbance irrespective of result. Whatever result happens, the karma yogi cannot be stopped. Karma yogi is not anxious. Karma yogi is not afraid. A person who is surrendered to God, there's nothing can move him. He is unmovable.
Focus is not on action or results, but
focus is on action, but not on the result.
More in the alignment of
focus is on action, aligned to dharma, surrender to God. The result is a gift of God. He is not bothered. He is not at all affected. Is the difference clear? The person, very intellectual person, will have a clarity in focusing on action. But the moment result comes, he'll be either elated with joy or depressed with sorrow. Whereas a karma yogi, a person who is surrendered to God, nothing can affect him. He can move mountains. Okay? However difficult it is, it doesn't stop him. It is not that he will expect result. He says, result is taken care of by God. Why should I worry? No, I'm saying he has, see, karma yogi, Jnani actions are spontaneous. Karma yogi is trying to become a Jnani. That's a practice. But in the practice, he has a support of Guru and support of God. So Jnani has no support. He has become one with God and Guru. So there is a ego in a karma yogi, but ego is constantly surrendering.
Doubt is the spontaneity means no intelligence.
No. Spontaneity is not no processing, zero processing. It's like a child doing something. No.
Because you are giving example of child.
No. Spontaneity means there's no ego in action. Okay. There is, you take a data. Whatever is action, whatever action is required, there's a data required for that action. But there's no personalization of data. There's no fear. There's no anxiety. Oh, this happened earlier. So the data is taken, and current moment, what is required, appropriate thing will happen. The information is processed without anxiety, without ego. That's why the actions of a Jnani are holistic. I'll give you some simple examples. Many examples you can find. One master was well known as Jnani. People come and complain to him. Your brother has become very violent. It troubles so many people. Okay. He is very ruthless. Please go and advise him. So now he goes and to sees the brother, his evil ways. So the actions can be many. Come and advise him, give him a lecture. Okay, tell him not to do this. But looking at his brother, tears starts flowing in the eyes of the master. Looking at the tears, the brother is transformed. The tears is the appropriate action for that moment, not talk. Our mind will say, no, no, you have to talk. You have to tell him. Many times inaction is the talk. Inaction is this thing. Just now today I posted a message on Kanchi Paramacharya. So in one city, the house was haunted. Okay. The ghost, there's a lot of unnatural things are happening in the house. Something catching fire, some waste material falling in the house. So Paramacharya had visited that place, not visited a house. He has visited, come to the temple. So while going from the temple, somebody told him, this is unnatural things are happening in this house. So Paramacharya doesn't speak a word. He just looks at the house. No words. And walks. From that moment, all unnatural things in the house stop. Just looking also is appropriate action.
This master and brother, what is spontaneous?
The tears, can you make the tears come deliberately? When you have to put some, what is spontaneous about tears? Okay, to get the tears, you have to either peel the onion or you have to put glycerin, right? Tears are spontaneous. Tears, deliberately you can't bring tears.
Spontaneity means holistic in the sense that there is no localized center for that as a ego. Spontaneity means that it is not from one place to another place in the universe. It is the whole universal.
The whole universal action operates through the body-mind complex. And that is the appropriate action, because a lot of things which are because human mind cannot deliberate what are the possible things. So a right thing has happened through the body-mind complex. When Buddha meets Angulimala, okay, so Angulimala is saying, threatening him. Buddha says, do you have the ability to bring life? That's all, one simple question. Yeah, Angulimala is transformed.
That's different. That's like what now the words are coming to the divine consciousness. So that part is different. Actions means that you have to really take position. So Jnani takes spontaneous decisions. Decision involves some crossing. You are saying crossing itself is not there because ego is.
No, ego is not there. There's no doership, but there's a doing. See, when ego is not there, there's no doing is there. There's no doer. The doer always brings the past and future. The doer has always a baggage. The doing has no baggage. Doing is actually take whatever data is there from memory, what is the current situation, and appropriate action can happen. But there's no doer. There's no fear. There's no anxiety. There's no regret. There's no past. There's no future. Right action in this moment is what is required. It doesn't mean that it doesn't take data, information. It can take data, information. But there's no personalization of the information. There's no ego added to the action. The doing is there, but there's no doer. Such actions are called Naishkarmya Siddhi. So a Jnani lives in Naishkarmya Siddhi, whereas a Karma Yogi practices Naishkarmya, non-dualship. What is practice for Karma Yogi becomes Siddhi for a Jnani.
The idea of me surrendering to Guru, knowing that Guru is everyone, is to remove the I-ness in every action that I do.
So when you are surrendered, I am not the doer. The Guru functions through me. And Guru functions through everybody. Somebody comes and shouts at you, it's a Guru. Somebody comes and helps you, it's Guru. So seeing Guru everywhere and Guru functioning through you, then ego is surrendered. Those actions become uplifting, purifying. When somebody shouts at you, when your Guru is functioning through that person, that's not a shouting. That particular shouting or obstacle is coming to you to improve something in you, to drop resistance in you, to bring you to the present moment. That's why Sri Krishna says, highest realization is sarva dharman paritijya mamekam sharanam praja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo moksheshyami vasucha. Surrender to me. Surrender to me means act without doership. Act without doership with a discrimination of dharma and adharma, Atma, Anatma, Nitya, Anitya. There's an ego. Definitely there is ego. But that ego gets purified when you see God or Guru in all, and God and Guru operating through you. Any questions? Anybody on Zoom, any questions? Zoom, there's a question here. What is the question? How to know that thoughts are dharmic when I still feel I am Bhimai? See, dharmic action or adharmic action is you're functioning in the world. Okay? For functioning in the world, dharma, adharma, viveka is important. All of us know what is dharma. Dharma need not be taught in schools. So the question is, how do I know my thoughts are dharmic? When I still feel I am the body, mind, intellect. So dharma is called Sanatana Dharma. It's not a religion. What is natural and what is sahaja for all of us, we know. I know that I should not hurt anybody because somebody should not hurt me. I know I should not kill anybody because somebody should not kill me. I know what role I have to play in my given role. If I am like, let us say, mother, in mother role I have to play because I know what my mother has to play. So dharma is actually natural. It is actually very clear. It's called, there are two types of dharma. Samanya dharma and Vishesha dharma. Samanya dharma is by birth we know. Even a child will know. If you give a chocolate to the child and give it to me, oh, no, I have to give equality. Samanya dharma. Vishesha dharma is when you apply it to a certain role in your life, whether it's a king, whether it's a ruler, whether it's an officer, or whether it's a employee, whether it's a wife. So what role you have to play to make sure that your surroundings or people are benefited. So Purnima says, BG and Guru. What is? Okay. Even to identify win-win, win-lose, for this also vasanas or my way of thinking is there. Correct. Win-win or win-lose, also my vasanas are required. It's there. Definitely there. But look at your life. Don't you know what is dharma? Very naturally you know. If somebody hurts you, you should not hurt. Somebody should not hurt you, I should not hurt anybody. Okay, somebody should talk nicely to me, I should talk nicely. So most of the things in our life, dharma is very well known to us. Vasanas come as reactions, but dharma is known. For example, when you talk to somebody, you'll get angry. Okay? But after that, you say, oh, I should not have got angry. Because dharma is not, what is dharma, you know. Vasanas have come reaction as anger.
Hari Om, Prabhuji.
Hari Om.
Prabhuji, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, little more. What is this? What is the meaning of Sarva Dharman Parityajya?
So, Bhagavad Gita sloka, Charama sloka, or last sloka, last teaching of Bhagavad Gita in 700 slokas, is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Aham Tam Sarva Papebhyo Moksheshyami Mashuchaha. This is the last sloka. So, in beginning sloka, Krishna says, Arjuna, follow your dharma, fight the war, all those things he says. Then final shloka says, drop all dharmas. Okay. See, please understand, when you speak of dharma, dharma is your behavior, ethical behavior in the world, society. Okay. Dharma is your relationship with society. Right? So when Krishna says, Arjuna, fight the war, it is not fighting the war because you want the kingdom. Fight the war for the dharma. So dharma means loka hitayacha. The welfare of the world, you have to fight the war. Not because Kaurava is your enemy. Not because you want the kingdom. To make sure that a law and order is established, you have to fight the war. So Krishna's teaching is fight the war. Now then he says of yoga, meditation, all those things. Arjuna says all these things are too confusing to me. Okay. Then Sri Krishna gives Sarva Dharman Parityajya. So it doesn't mean that drop your dharma. Dharma cannot be dropped. As long as we live in the world, we have to live a dharmic life. So then Sarva Dharman Parityajya means, the meaning of Sarva Dharman is, dharma always involves karma, action. A role playing is that. Okay. Any dharma, for example, somebody is a king. Arjuna is a warrior. To establish dharma, he has to fight a war. War is the action. There's an action involved. Karma has to be there. So Sarva Dharman, you can drop dharma. You cannot drop Kshatriya Dharma and run away to the forest. So Sarva Karman, drop action. No, I won't fight the war. Karma also cannot be dropped. Because dharma and karma are twins. For performing dharma, you need to do karma. Then dharma cannot be dropped, karma cannot be dropped. Then what can be dropped is kartritva can be dropped. Doership can be dropped. The doership is the ego. Sarva Dharman Pratijya means doership is dropped. Mamekam Shanraja, surrender to me. Surrender to me means here Krishna as Ishvara or the inner self, Atma. When you surrender to the inner self, Atma, it's actually Sakshi. Atma is the Sakshi, witness. Or Ishvara means, surrender to Ishvara means the one who are controlling the universe. Both means same thing. So fight the war, play the role of a Kshatriya, establish dharma without identifying I am Kshatriya, without becoming a doer. The moment you identify yourself as Kshatriya, then ego has come into picture. Sarva Dharman means Sarva Karman. Sarva Karman Parityajya means drop all doership, sense of doership. So when you are fighting the war for dharma, when actions are happening, it's not individual action, it's universal action when you surrender. How do you surrender? I am the instrument of God. The body-mind complex is the instrument of God. The God is the one who functions through me. That understanding is there, then you have surrendered. Is it clear, Purnima?
Yes, Prabhuji. There was one more way I thought I was trying to understand. Of course, perfect what you just gave. So the Sarva Dharman means you don't identify with your body, mind, intellect dharma also. And then come to me as Sakshi.
Correct. So, body, mind, intellect, body dharma, mind dharma, intellect dharma. Act as a Sakshi. That's also the meaning of that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Drop all limited dharmas of the body, mind, and intellect.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Anybody else? Any questions? Pratibha, Katyayani?
No, Guruji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So Gayatri? Shravan? Okay. That's all about spontaneous action. The spontaneous action is called Naishkarmya Siddhi. For Jnani. For a sadhaka, it's called Naishkarmya Abhyasa. Karma Yoga Abhyasa.
Alignment to the reality within.
Yeah. Alignment to the reality within you.